Thursday, 6 p.m. Jesus sat down with his disciples for one last final meal. It's been the shortest, longest week he's ever had, and tonight will be the last time he will eat with his closest friends. It was the night he shared the supper that we do every other week here at Trinity-St. James. To his right sat the beloved disciple, John. To his left, in the place of honor, sat Judas, the one who would betray him. Take, eat, this is my body. Take, drink, this is my blood. It's the final will and testament of Jesus. They didn't understand. How could they? Then Judas leaves to summon the men who paid him to deliver Jesus. A cloud of despair hangs over those remaining. Jesus is troubled, ill at ease. A quick finish to the meal and a quick walk to the garden, possibly some rest or ease for troubled minds and spirits there. Thursday, 10 p.m. Jesus and his friends hurry through the streets of Jerusalem. The blood from the sacrificed animals for Passover still run through the drainage system away from the temple. The cries from the animals can still be heard as priests continue to sacrifice them in a vain attempt to win favor with God. Stop by lamb grapes. Another lesson, another teaching the disciples don't understand. A desperate prayer. They will be sifted. They will run. No, never. If only we could somehow ease this burden from him. John, talk to him. Peter, be a rock for him. The walk slowly continues to the Garden of Gethsemane. Literally, the Garden of Crushing. Friday, 12 midnight. Jesus gave 8 of the disciples a rest. He let them stop and catch their breath and their emotions. He only took his 3 closest disciples on from there with him, Peter, James, and John. He went a little further, and then Jesus let those disciples stop. Stay here, pray. Stay awake, he says. It's so hard. It's late, and it's been a busy week and a big day, complete with a huge meal. The wine that they had at dinner and then the wine Jesus gave them has long since been having an effect on the 3. And the ground is soft and inviting. Surely he'll understand if we get comfortable. We won't sleep. We'll just rest. And in the distance, he falls to the ground. He's sweating blood. What's he saying? Abba, save me. Abba, Papa, Daddy. First word a child learns to speak. Daddy, save me. This child is screaming for his daddy in the middle of a nightmare. This is no dream. Twice he wakes them up, and twice they fall back to sleep. Angels are his only comfort now. And in the distance, torches, marching feet. They wake now. A kiss in the dark, a sword flashing in the firelight. Jesus is bound and led away, and the disciples flee. They run away. They leave him all alone. Friday, 6 a.m. Jesus was kept awake all night long. The religious leaders have been interrogating him, mocking him, and beating him. He's bleeding from a punch to his mouth. Purple welts are covering his body where he was hit with rods, with staffs, with sticks. He's barely able to move. When was the last time you slept? Wednesday night? What kind of sleep was that? How restful knowing what the next 2 days are going to bring. And this morning he stands before Pontius Pilate, who asks him a simple question: "Are you the king of the Jews?" And it's a trap. If he says yes, he'll be guilty of treason against Rome, for there's room for only one king in the Roman Empire. If he says no, he'll be recanting everything he's ever said and done. "You said it," is the only answer he'll give. Nothing more. Frustration. Why won't he talk to me? He's from Galilee. Send him to Herod. Herod's heard about this Jesus before. Some from Herod's own household believed in him. "How about a few tricks for me, Jesus?" Silence again. Anger. More beating. More mocking. "A king should have a purple robe." Send him back to Pilate. And a new, fast friendship was formed between Pilate and Herod. Friday, 7 a.m. Jesus is taken back to Pilate, and this time he talks a little more. He uses it to preach the gospel. "This is the reason I was sent into the world." Now the tables are turned on Pilate. He knows that Jesus is innocent of anything deserving death. Maybe a flogging will change the hearts of those people who want him dead. A Roman flogging uses whips with chips of bone and steel balls embedded in the leather straps. The balls break the skin and soften the muscles. The bones cut into the skin and the muscles and peel back layers of flesh. Most people don't survive the flogging, and it is not unusual for those who are flogged to have their spine exposed, or even have their internal organs fall out of the back. A beating. A crown of twisted thorns shoved on his head. He can hardly stand. How did he survive the flogging? "Behold the man! Give us Barabbas!" How odd. They cry for the release of Barabbas. Barabbas' name means son of the Father. The real son of the real Father. They want dead. Washed hands, and acceptance of guilt upon their own heads and the heads of their children. The condemned murderer is set free. Friday, 8 a.m. Jesus is led away from the crowd in Pilate's presence. The decision has been reached, and the crowd will not be turned. Pilate's been in this situation, or similar situations like this before. If the crowd isn't quelled, he's going to have a riot on his hands. It will look as though he can't do the job Rome sent him there to do. It's a backwater town in the Roman Empire. How hard can it be to keep peace, Pilate? They played hardball, you know. They told Pilate that if they did not give them what they wanted, he was no friend of Caesar's. That was a real group. There was an inner circle of Caesar's friends, of Caesar's advisors. To be in the friend of Caesar's circle meant stability, meant security. To be outside of that circle, well, no one wanted to think about that. Jesus was just one man. He may be innocent, but better that innocent blood is spilled to maintain the status quo than to see Jerusalem in flames. Jesus was forced to carry his own cross beam to Calvary. But by now, the exhaustion and the lack of blood is having its effect. He can't do it. A man named Simon is made to carry the load, an unwilling participant in the parade of death going on in front of him. A fall to the ground. It's too heavy. Another blow, another kick. Get up! Somehow he manages to make it to the top of the hill. So tired. so much pain. Friday, 9 a.m. The Romans were good at many, many things, and killing people in very slow and torturous ways was just one of them. Jesus' arms were tied to the cross with rough ropes. And you know what the purpose was? The purpose was to keep him from falling forward and ripping the spikes through his wrists as he fell to the ground with only his feet still nailed to the cross. The spikes pounded into wrists and ankles are very strategically placed. The ones pounded into the wrist hit the major nerve that runs through the arm. The enduring pain would be unbelievable. The ones pounded into the feet would at the very least nick, if not completely sever, the Achilles tendon, shooting pain through his body. At his feet, the soldiers gambled for the one thing he owns in this entire world: a seamless tunic woven from a piece of fabric. The pounding hammer, blood gushing, dripping off hose. How much blood did he have left? Searing pain. He's feeling the weight of more than just his body now. The weight of the sins of the world are gathering on him. Blackness is invading. Friday, 12 noon. Crucifixion was an especially painful way to die, not only did the person have the constant excruciating pain, but it very quickly became impossible to take a breath. To take a breath, the person on the cross had to push his body up, using his nailed-in feet and tied-on arms to raise himself. Oxygen very quickly became a very precious commodity to the one who hung on the cross. In addition, the lack of blood and the beatings usually preceding being crucified sent the body into shock as it tried to conserve what energy it had left. In the end, though, it was just a matter of time. More than likely, the person would die by suffocation. The person would suffocate. Jesus has been on the cross for 3 hours at this point. He's endured the taunts of the crowds and the mockery of the soldiers. He's responded directly to some of those around him. He took care of his mother will be taken care of. A thief on the cross next to him believed and was promised eternal life. And then in the 6th hour, noon, darkness settles on the land. Pain, exhaustion. The sky grows dark. It's unnatural. Mama, John, take care of her. You will see heaven today. So tired. It's not time yet. The weight of sins crushes breath. I need a breath. Friday, 2 o'clock. No, crucifixion is not a pleasant way to die. In addition to everything else, it's a very lonely death. There's no one who can give comfort of any sort. Not even words can comfort one as they hang on the cross waiting to die. At this point, Jesus has been on the cross for 5 hours. His body's starting to shut down fully now, and he's getting dehydrated. A sponge full of wine was offered to his parched mouth, but that can only help so much. But by far, the worst part for Jesus in his crucifixion was being abandoned by his Abba, his father, his daddy. The blackness of sins were so great, God the Father couldn't look at his son anymore. He turned away from him. Jesus experienced the rejection of God the Father, so you and I will never have to. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Abba, where are you? Prophecy 22 is coming true now. The pierced flesh, the lot cast for clothes, being abandoned by God, literal hell on earth. Friday, 3 o'clock. There were times when those being crucified often took a day or even more to die. Died, they all did. Make no mistake about that. They all died. But it wasn't always immediate. For Jesus, it's been 6 hours ago. 6 hours of torture, of humiliation, of a very slow and agonizing death. And the crowds have fallen silent by this time. Everyone can sense there's something different about this particular crucifixion. The darkness that enveloped the world at noon had not abated yet, and there is an almost demonic chill in the air. It was a day of preparation for the Sabbath. The bodies could not stay on the crosses, so to speed to suffocation. The legs of the 2 thieves were broken, but Jesus was already dead. The spear plunged into his heart, causing a flow of blood and fluid from the pericardium. The fluid around his heart built up especially as his heart went into arrhythmia before it stopped beating altogether. Jesus didn't suffocate. He very literally died of a broken heart. 6 hours. What ancient law demanded has been paid in full. The ultimate blood sacrifice was given when Jesus breathed his last. It's done. There is no more that needs to be completed, and nothing more than anyone can do to satisfy God's wrath for sins. Jesus is that final sacrifice. It is finished. The debt owed to sin, the hold of the law on the souls of men, the hopelessness they had, the life he had. The raised spear, blood and water flowing. Sure sign of death. Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus came to claim his body. While Jesus lived, they would not align themselves with him. Now that he's dead, by stepping forward, they are aligning themselves with him. And they lay claim to him. Jesus is taken down from the cross. Stubborn spikes pulled through wood and flesh. He's wrapped in a rough linen cloth and placed in a borrowed tomb. Proper burial will have to wait. There's not enough time for the Sabbath. And if his death wasn't enough, immediately the Jews demanded soldiers be placed at the tomb and a seal be set on the stone. The seal marked the tomb as under Roman governmental authority. He who breaks the seal forfeits his own life. Soldiers who, upon punishment of their own death, if they failed, were stationed to guard the tomb. Those who saw the events of the day thought all was lost. The angels in heaven wept. Demons on earth rejoiced. Jesus was dead. The tomb was secure. There was no way he could ever come out of that tomb.